What's the most important thing to all of us as salespeople? Well, Matt, it's closing deals and making money. Besides closing deals and making money, what leads to closing deals and making money is our pipeline, okay? I'm going to try and not use bad language. How much pipeline do you guys need to not give a fly and flip? I'll just say fly and flip. I'm going to drop some fly and flips on you. How much pipeline do you need to not give a fly and flip if any individual deal closes or not? Again, guys, hi, you're hanging out with your boy M.E., okay? This is not your typical sales coaching. I talk about the stuff we should talk about. I talk about the topics that no other sales coach talks about. And I want you to not give a fly and flip. Why? We are emotional people in sales. We're people. A lot of times we wear our heart on our sleeve. A lot of times we have trouble going to sleep at night. The reason why we get emotional, why we yell at our kids, why we have bad days and great days has to do with our gosh darn pipeline most of the time. When things are going good, life is going good, and we're picking out our new outfit for President's Club. And when life is going bad, we're picking out the freaking double wide trailer next to the meth lab because we are assuming that tomorrow we're going to get fired, okay? I don't want you guys to live that way. I've lived that way. It's not fun, right? How do we get ourselves to a mental state where we don't give a fly and flip if any individual deal closes? Okay, sidebar before we talk about how much pipeline we need to not give a flying flip. Once you don't give a flying flip, you know what happens to the deals that could close? They close a lot more, right? Everybody wants to go to the dance with the person that's like, I could take it or leave it, right? Everybody wants to hang out with the person that's like, fine, I'll go to your party, right? When you're cool, when you're calm, when you're confident, it shows. People can smell it on you. So I'm going to ask you guys, somebody unmute yourself. How many deals would you need in your pipeline? Not leads. How many deals do you need in your pipeline to not give a fly and flip about any individual deal? And I'm going to add a question to that too. I'm going to add a question onto that as you get ready to unmute yourself and give me your answer. Is there a difference? Should you care more about the dollar amount of your pipeline or should you care about the volume? Go ahead. Somebody jump in.
Maybe like 10 times my quota.
10 times your quota. I like it. That's a good ratio. Love that one. Tony G, what you got?
We have the sales team look to get 2 new projects a day, which gives them 40 in a month, because we work it on a conversion rate of 25%.
I love it.
If they were to convert at that rate, they would all exceed their quota. Okay,
good. Now, I'm going to push back on you, Tony, and I don't know, okay? My guess is, and by the way, I love that you have those metrics. Company metrics aside, because we're talking individually. If you were to have a kumbaya moment with somebody from your team and they're like, TG, off the record, my man, okay? I know I got to get, how many was it? 2 a week or 2 a day, Tony?
2 a day.
Okay, I know I got to get 2 a day. What would be your recommendation? Like if I came to you and you were my mentor, right? And this isn't boss to employee. How many do you think I would need to not give a fly and flip anymore about any individual deal? What would that number be? Would it be higher than 2?
No, it would be less than 2, actually.
Less? Why?
Because we actually tend to convert at a pretty high rate.
Okay.
So are you talking just in general or about my business?
I am talking how many deals do we need to sleep so good at night that I don't care if any individual deal closes? I am so fortified with pipeline that I don't need to close. How many would they need to generate at that point to literally be walking around like a vampire, so to speak, that they cannot be killed? An immortal sales professional that no matter what happens with the economy, the competition, I'm good. How many would I need to generate, Tony?
Yeah, so our business is about 40 a month.
Okay. I like it. A number sounds low to me, but I like it, man. It sounds like a good business. Who else? How many deals do you need? Yeah, go ahead.
I look at it a little differently, but I would say, just to answer your original question, maybe 10 times our expenses. But what I'm looking at is what percentage is like a huge client that's majority of the revenue. So that particular client, if I lost that client, I would not be as happy. But
For
if all things
sure.
were held equal, then yeah, it'll be great to have 10 times our expenses.
100%. And that's why I asked this question, what's more important? The dollar amount of your pipeline or the volume of the deals in your pipe? Like do I have 100 opportunities or do I have 3 that are really big? There's no individual answer here because both ways you could go have their pros and cons. If I have a lot of smaller deals in my pipeline, the pro is if I lose one, it's not that big of a deal. The con is if I close one, it's not that big of a deal. And the pro is I have security because I'm hedged. I'm like a mutual fund. I'm hedged amongst all these deals. The con is I have a lot of deals I have to maintain, so I better have a skillful process. Anyone want to chime in on how many deals do you need to not give a fly and flip if any individual deal closes or not?
I have to have a rolling 30 deals a month. And from those deals, it doesn't matter how big they are because every time a deal closes, now I've got other referral partners, meaning I've got 2 attorneys, I've got 2 realtors that I can now pitch on a closed loan.
Yeah.
So,
And the other thing that happens every time a deal closes, you just lost your best prospect too. So that's the negative side of that, right? Like if we're looking at our pipeline anytime a deal closes, all right, you guys are going to be shocked with my math, okay? And you guys clearly aren't as paranoid as I am. I got to a point where I don't give a fly and flip anymore. Like I literally don't care. It don't bother me, okay? I would like you guys to really think long and hard about your number, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, if it's 10 times your pipeline, you're still going to care, right? This is the amount of deals that I got to a point where I worked to where I didn't care anymore. 5,500. And I put the word leads in here. That's a typo because I had somebody make this slide for me. I have 5,500 individual deals in my pipeline, not leads that I'm aware of. I don't count people I haven't made contact with. In my personal pipeline, I have made contact and I am working 5,500 deals. I will just tell you right now, that is exponentially more than if I was to have a quota for myself. I own the company. I don't have a quota. The people that work for me have a quota. If somebody that worked for me, if they had a quota, it would not be that they need to close 550 deals. That would be, nobody would work for me. It'd be too high of a quota. So this is way more than 10x of what they need to close every month. But I will tell you this. I'm going to push back on you guys and say, guys, really think about this number, okay? You're never going to hit the target if you haven't quantified it. And this is a big mistake that a lot of us make, and I'm not saying any of you made a mistake. We think, if I have 3x or 10x, or if I can generate, 2 opportunities into my pipeline a day, I'm good. I think if you question it and if you came up with a system, you could get a lot more than 2 in a day. You could get a lot more than 10 in a day. How the hell could we do that? How could we get you to the pipeline you need to no longer give a fly and flip? Here's how, okay? Number 1 thing that you need, if you want a pipeline that is massive, there's a guy, I'm just going to call him out. What's up, Rick? Rick and I did a private yesterday. We spent a good amount of time talking about stuff like this, okay? If you're going to have a pipeline to where everything is great, the only factor in how much money you can make is how much time is in the day, and you are solid on your deals, the first thing you need is a process and not a pitch. A process and not a pitch. If you lead with a pitch, you are never going to have that kind of pipeline because that's a one and done pipeline. Hey, if I could have 50, hey, Rick, if I could have 5 minutes of your time, I'd like to walk you through our sales coaching options over at Easton University. No, thanks, I'm all set. Right? Hey, Scott, it's Rick here. Hey, I'd love to walk you through if you have any clients that, need to move some retirement over. I'd love to see, I'd love to, okay, thanks, bye. It's a one and done. When you have a pitch, when you're opening the door to people saying, we've got a new product, We've got a better way. We can save you time. We can save you money. You are going to be lucky if you have 10 times your pipeline in your pipeline. And it is going to be hard as hell to get 10 times in your pipeline. Go ahead. Somebody say something? Oh, must be on my end. It's going to be hard as hell to get 10x your pipeline. Typically, most people with a traditional non-Easton sales process have at best 2 to 3 times their quota in their pipeline because they're leading with a pitch. They don't even know, like the concept of how do I get somebody's attention is foreign to them. They've never even thought about that concept. What insights are out there? What value? Rick spent a ton of money for a private yesterday. I think he's probably going to make $6 million from it. Not because of me, but because Rick spent some time to realize, okay, wait a minute. What's the value that I can bring to a Rich over at Valley in mortgage? What's the value that I can bring to that not value in terms of trading deals, okay? So we've got to have a process and not a pitch. You guys have a process. You're working on your pitch. Okay, the other thing, if you want enough deals to where you no longer give a flying flip if any individual is going to close, you have to create a sustainable pipeline. I'm going to say this again. You have to create a sustainable pipeline. Having a sustainable pipeline is counterintuitive to 85% of the stuff you've learned from other sales coaching. Because other sales coaching is like, get in there, set the appointment. Your goal is to set the appointment. And then on the appointment, your goal is to close the deal. And then if the deal doesn't close, we're going to just beat the hell out of them and maybe lower our price, throw a discount, throw a couple hand grenades over the wall. And then people say, hey, I'm all set, don't ever call me again. Okay, that's not a sustainable pipeline. A sustainable pipeline, this is how I have 5,500 people in my pipeline because nobody has told me in over 18 months. It could happen, hasn't happened. My construction site has been 18 months without a hazardous accident or whatever those things are. I'm running on an 18-month, you guys have just jinxed it for me right now. In 18 months it's been since somebody has said, Matt, don't call me again. Because I'm delivering insights. I'm monetizing where they're at, where they want to be. And I have net outcome statements. So when somebody says, yeah, man, the training's just not a fit for me, I'm able to say, no problem, Mike. Totally understood. Hey, I will be here when you need to get from 275,000 in income to 650 and number 1 there in the office. Fair enough? Right? No, by the way, when you understand where somebody's at and where they want to go, and you articulate it into a net outcome statement, nobody ever tells you to go take a flying flip. They're like, okay, totally cool. Like if I was talking to Danielle's like, man, I want to set a new record with my company. The last 4 records were from me. I was pretty badass last year. I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat my old record. Where were you at last year? I was able to set $17 million worth of appointments for my team. This year I want to get to $25 million worth of appointments. I don't even know if that's accurate with Danielle. I'm just making her up because I see her and she's awesome and I see her all the time, right? And then Danielle says, hey, I don't want to do the sales coaching. No problem, Danielle. Totally understand. Hey, I will be here when you need to make sure that this year you break that previous record of 17 million and generate 25 million plus for your team in qualified appointments. Fair enough, right? She's never going to tell me to go away. I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm collected. It's sustainable, okay? If you guys want to get enough appointments to where you don't give, hold on one second. To where you don't give, if you guys want to get to enough pipeline to where you don't give a flying flip if a deal closes or not, you got to get yourself out of obscurity, okay? And this is the hardest thing and 99% of you aren't going to do it, okay? Until I became jacket boy, life was pretty hard for me. And I'm not asking you guys to come up with a shtick or buy a bunch of jackets. Please don't. They're a fortune. Don't get started on the jackets. It's insane. Okay? But you have to learn, if you want to get yourself to a pipeline where you don't give a flying flip anymore, you have to take this little thing. Okay? For most of us, it's the size of Brazil. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. It's your ego. Okay? Your ego. Your ego's got to go. And you have to go, hey, I'm at work, ego. I'm at a trade show, ego. I've got nothing to do for the rest of today, ego. And you need to go, how the hell do I get myself out of obscurity? Obscurity. They don't know you. If they don't know you, they can't flow you. If they don't know you, they can't send business your way. If they don't know you, they can't buy from you. If Rick doesn't know who I am, he can't tell his friends, yo, if you need sales coaching, this guy's great, okay? If you guys want a pipeline to where you're walking around like an immortal, that any deal that goes away, you're like, good. I didn't even have time to onboard them anyways, right? I got to buy shorts for the President's Club trip, right? If you want that kind of confidence, you have to get yourself out of obscurity. If you want to get yourself out of obscurity, you got to stop worrying what people think. And you need to be the person that shows up early at the trade show. You need to be the person that steps outside of the booth, right? You need to be making posts on LinkedIn. You might even need to take your phone and point it at your face and record a couple videos. And guess what? They're going to suck. And it's those sucky ones that are going to take you to a level to where you're like, I have more money than I can spend. But if you sit around and you make the dials, or worse, you sit around and you wait for your company to send you some leads, you are going to give a flying flip. Okay? You're going to give a flying flip if a deal closes. You are going to be worried if you get fired. And you should be. I'd fire you. Right? If you work for me for more than 9 months and you're not able to generate deals to feed yourself, and I have to constantly pay Meta and TikTok and Google and send you to trade shows to sit at a booth that costs me $20,000 so you can maybe skillfully follow up with somebody or not, bye-bye. I'm not going to have you around me. But I operate at a really high level in terms of like cheapness. I know there's a lot of big companies that will keep a lot of dead weight around. But if you're just following up on the leads that your company gave you, you're dead freaking weight. They don't need you. AI is going to do that. Figure out how to, everybody in your industry goes, dude, was that guy with the mustache, was that Rich, the mortgage guy? Dude, I think that was Rich, the mortgage guy. Oh, I don't want to go over there. He's with his family. Right? Dude, that guy had that video that guy made on LinkedIn, that guy's awesome. Right? Everybody should start to know who you are. When people start to know who you are and what you do for work, you're good. Okay? You got to generate organic, self-created autopilot leads. Okay? There's probably I wish it was self-autopilot referrals, but they're leads, because then it'd be an Oscar, right? You'd get an Oscar, but it's an Oscal. An Oscal is this. Man, I saw your video on TikTok. Hey, I heard you on that podcast, Rich. I did have a question. We're thinking about buying a house in the Hamptons. Hey, saw your post on LinkedIn. There should be a way that Rich can get himself to a point where people are calling his mobile and have no freaking clue that he works at Valley. They just know that he knows about mortgage, especially in, I don't know, where was it? Rich? Hamptons? I don't know. I think it was the Hamptons, right? He's the guy in the Hamptons. You don't need to buy a billboard to get yourself to that. But you do need to take your ego and go, hey, I'm going to take 10 minutes today and I'm going to make a video. I'm going to take 5 minutes today and I'm going to make a LinkedIn post. I'm going to call the association, the trade association, and ask them if they need a speaker. If they say no, I'm going to ask them if they need somebody to show people to their seats. I'm going to do what needs to be done to get myself in the room where stuff is happening. You do that, then they're going to need a speaker. You do that, then Netflix is calling you for a TV show. You got to start somewhere, but get those self-generated leads, okay? And this is vital for you guys to hear. Whether you do this or not, I'm going to speak the gospel to you right now, because it's Q4 and most everybody's going to do the opposite. You need to spend 85% of your efforts, your time, your attention, your energy, 85% of all that in pipeline generation, and 15% selling, closing, and following up. And you guys are doing it the other way around. And no wonder why you're like, man, I don't know if next month is going to be good or not good. If you want to get to a point where you're like, I know next month is great. Do I know what my number is going to be next month? Nope. It's going to be more than I need. Do I know what my number is going to be next quarter? More than I need. Do I know what I'm going to do next year? Probably 4 times what I did last year. The only way to get there is to spend 85% of your time generating pipeline, going on LinkedIn, going and talking in front of groups, calling people, generating pipeline. By the way, once you have one of these guys, Once you have a sales process like this, the 15% on selling, closing, and follow-up is easy. Because once I figure out what's going on in Rick's world, what's Rick's current situation, where does Rick want to be, right? Now I can follow up very skillfully with Rick. And I'm not, when you lead with a pitch, your whole sales process is difficult. Hey Rick, if you got 15 minutes, I'd like to tell you how I can help save you some money on the management fees for your financial advisors and your disparate accounts. But if I slow the hell down and deliver an insight, hey Rick, I just want to make sure that you're aware a lot of high net individuals in their 50s and 60s, they've got 3 or 4 of old 401ks laying around. What a lot of people don't realize is there's a considerable amount of money tied up in those fees. What I'd love to do is kind of walk through with you, see if there's even a possibility to get those things cleaned up. I can point it out for you. I'm happy to help whether you end up doing business with me or not, or simply go back to Schwab and Fidelity and move some stuff around, right? And maybe I got that lead from Rich. And Rich is like, man, I'm really trying to sell this guy a house in the Hamptons. He's waiting for rates to go down. Man, you know, a lot of times what I've found is if we can rebalance their portfolio, that distance from a 8% mortgage all the way down to a 4.9 or a 5, Rich, is we can find that in their fixed assets. And at the end of the day, their balance is the same, right? All we're doing is taking fees that they were paying for their retirement accounts and applying that to the mortgage. Does it make sense for me to reach out to them? Right? Once you slow down a little bit in the beginning, now it's easy to follow up. Hey, Matt, it's Rick, calling to see if it makes sense for us to rebalance your portfolio, giving you those additional resources to buy that ski condo in Aspen. I'm on my mobile, 720-660-3202. What did that take me? 19 seconds. Spend a little bit of time in the beginning, 85% of the time in the beginning. Now I've isolated that person. I got a sustainable lead from Rich. I now have a sales process. I can follow up with them every 2 weeks for 2 months, once a month for 3 months, and then twice a year, perpetually. And that's how you end up working over 5,000 leads. But you've got to figure out a way, guys, where you're spending 85% of your time filling your pipeline and skillfully cutting all the fat. Trimming, we're not taking people to lunch that we're thinking about buying. Because you don't have to bribe, you should not need to bribe somebody with a lunch to buy your stuff. We're being skillful. We're slowing down in the beginning. Last thing I want to cover, then we'll open it up for questions. Be damn cautious with referral partners. Oh well, I'm gonna get 5,000 leads by getting referral partners. Okay, well, how are you going to get referral partners? Oh well, I'm going to send business their way, and they're going to send business my way. Okay, well, either you're a liar or that's not going to work, because you have to be a liar and say, hey, Danielle, you send me a deal, I'll send you a deal. Okay? If I'm honest with Danielle, when she sends me a deal, I have to send her a deal. Okay? That's a referral partner, right? Or I'm going to pay Danielle. I'm going to bribe Danielle. None of that stuff really works. The problem with that is if Danielle and I are in complementary industries and we trade leads, and I get a lead, I can only give it to Danielle, right? So there's only so much I can do with that lead. But what if I could add value to Danielle's world in trade for a lead without ever having to give her a lead? That allows me to take in as many leads as I can handle, as many deals into my pipeline as I can handle, and I'm trading that with adding value. Right? I'm trading that with adding value. Somebody like a Chris Schroeder could get this going, right? But if Chris is like, hey, I'll give you a lead for shipping for medical devices if you give me a lead for somebody going to Japan, now every client he has, he's got, well, I can't give that shipping lead. I don't want to give it to multiple people because I'm going to look bad. We will talk about that maybe on a future session about referral partners, but there's a better way to set that stuff up. In summary, guys, all of you should be thinking about what is your number? And your number should be a lot more than 10 times your pipeline, because I think you're still going to worry at 10 times your pipeline. You figure out how to do 100 times your quota, your pipeline should be 10 times your quota. If it was 100, you're set. If it's 10, I don't know. I don't know if it's set. You got to figure out a way where every day almost more stuff is coming in than you can handle. It's not that difficult to set something like that up. Okay, if you work in sales and you're serious about your career, I'm gonna give you $300 right here, right now, to close more deals. Did we just become best friends? I think so. My name's Matt Easton. I'm the founder of Easton University. It's the most effective sales coaching system in the world. One little tiny piece of that sales coaching system is our mini masterclass on closing. It's $300. But I'm gonna cover the cost for you right now. I've set some money aside out of our marketing budget. If you click the link here, I will text you a code where you can go and grab the mini masterclass on closing. I'm gonna cover all of the cost for you. You pay nothing. There's no commitment on your end. My hope is that you close so much more business, you come and join us over at Easton University, but that choice is yours. If you wanna double, triple, quadruple your closing, right now, click the link. I will text you a code to get the Easton University Mini Masterclass on closing right here, right now, and I'm gonna cover all the cost for you. Click the link. I'll see you on the other side.